claims that's often made by war hawks is that, it's not that big of a deal to invade Iran. We'll invade Iran, and right now is the best time to do it because it has been weakened as a result of the 12-day war. Iran's regime has further been weakened as a result of the protests that took place against the regime recently. It's an argument that you'll hear made over and over again.
Welcome back, folks. Buckle up. We're diving deep into a topic that most mainstream media outlets are too scared to touch. The real motives behind the drumbeat for war with Iran. We're talking about who benefits, who pays, and who's really pulling the strings. This isn't just about geopolitics. It's about your wallet, your kids, and America's future. Let's not let the war hawks lead us blindly into another endless conflict. Let's roll the tape.
In fact, one of the biggest war hawks and individuals who tends to cheerlead a war with Iran is Senator Lindsey Graham, and here he is making that point.
The Iranian Ayatollah and his murderous regime are at their weakest point since 1979. Their economy is in shambles, their military has been degraded, there are people in the streets, Iranian people in the streets demanding an end to oppression. All these forces are coming together. We must meet the moment.
Aw, Senator Graham, always ready to beat the war drums, aren't we? Weakest point since 1979. Meet the moment. Sounds a lot like the same old song and dance we heard before Iraq, before Afghanistan, and actually before every other cakewalk that turned into a decade-long quagmire. They shout at the top of their lungs out that there's lines about internal weakness and how the people are demanding an end to oppression, as if a foreign invasion is ever the answer to internal political strife. Let's be real. These war hawks always frame it as some surgical strike, a quick in and out job. But history, that pesky little thing, tells a different story every single time. We're listening to this kind of rhetoric because American lives and trillions of dollars, unfortunately, have always been squandered, only to leave behind a powerful vacuum and more instability. It's like asking a pyromaniac to put out a fire with gasoline. The weakness argument is a classic manipulation. It's designed to make you think it's an easy, cheap, and without any consequence. But as we're all about to hear, the world isn't as simple as these beltway warriors want us to believe. There are bigger players, bigger stakes, and a much higher price tag than they're letting on. Don't let them fool you, folks.
But in reality, going to war with Iran could potentially spark World War III. And I'm not saying that to be hyperbolic, because there has already been some indication that both Russia and China would back Iran in a hot war with the United States and Israel. Now, let's talk a little bit about what we've learned in recent days. So apparently China gifted a scale model of their J-20 stealth fighter to Iran's Air Force commander, Brigadier General Hamid Vahidi. And it was a symbolic gesture, essentially signaling to the West that China not only would back Iran, they see this potential war as a security threat for them. So there's the China angle, but we should also keep in mind that Russia is very likely going to back Iran as well. And so whether we like it or not, we are already living in a multipolar world. And when it comes to Russia and China, we're talking about countries that have impressive military capabilities. And if they're willing to arm Iran, fighting Iran isn't going to be as easy as Lindsey Graham would have you believe. And I want to go to one more video here because you're about to hear from a British diplomat and the director of the Beirut-based Conflicts Forum. His name is Alistair Crook. And he was on one of my favorite shows regarding foreign policy to kind of discuss the military capabilities that Iran now has as a result of China's help. So take a quick look at this.
The Chinese have given already to Iran their long-range radar systems. I think it's a YLC-8B radars. And these can detect stealth planes at a distance of 700 kilometers. And as you know, that excludes all F-35s and either by Israel or America. This is rather like what the Pakistanis had, and it's called Link 17, which is a complete network from radar to missile control centers of a data system and the ability to communicate in this way. And it is, so they would be able, if you like, to create for them from Chinese satellite structures a whole battlescape, which can be fed directly, real time, into the missile centers of Iran.
On top of that, there's also an issue regarding whether or not some of the Muslim or Arab majority countries in the region would assist the United States. For instance, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE have all publicly said that they would not allow their airspace to be used for any strikes on Iran or Iranian strikes on any other country. So you have to take the full context of this potential war into consideration. I'm not really sure Trump is getting sober advice from the people who surround him, especially when you think of someone like Marco Rubio, for instance, who led Trump into believing that there are negotiations happening with Cuba right now. Cuba actually came out and said, no, that's not true at all. I don't think that Trump is being advised properly, and it's a scary situation all around. What do you think, Cenk?
Yeah, of course he's not advised properly. Almost everyone around him works for Israel. Marco Rubio has gotten millions of dollars from the Israeli lobby, and so is almost everybody inside the White House. So our government is compromised.
Whoa, hold on a second. Our government is compromised? Now that's a statement that should send shivers down every American spine, because it's not BS. It's a cold, hard truth. When you have politicians from Marco Rubio on down allegedly raking in millions from foreign lobbies, what exactly are they loyal to? Who? What? Is it the American people, or is it the hand that feeds them? This isn't some fringe conspiracy theory. It's the open secret of Washington, D.C. The revolving door between foreign interests, think tanks, and political offices ensure that our national security priorities often get twisted to serve someone else's agenda. They talk about democracy and freedom, but behind the scenes, it's all about influence peddling and lining pockets. Frankly, it's sickening to me. We send our sons and daughters to fight and die in the faraway lands, while the very people making those decisions are allegedly bought and paid for by foreign entities. It makes you wonder whose interests are truly being served when we're constantly pushed towards conflict. It certainly doesn't feel like ours.
So let's talk about a couple of factors here. So China and Russia that Anna mentioned, you know what they'd love to do to us? They'd love to turn Iran into our Ukraine. So Biden dragged out the Ukraine war because it was depleting Russian forces and the Russian economy and was hurting Russia in 18 different ways to be bogged down in Ukraine. And China and Russia are, licking their chops, thinking, oh, please go into Iran so we could totally have you get stuck in that quagmire. We'll sell Iran all the weapons because you guys are in the wrong. You started the war. There's no qualms there at all. You're the aggressive, imperial empire Israel is, and America's backing it, that is attacking its defenseless, innocent enemies. So of course we'll finance that war for Iran, and it'll help destroy the American economy. They'll be thrilled if we do that. Then you go to Jordan, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. Now those are normally puppet governments that Israel controls about 90%, and they'll do almost anything that Israel asks them to do. But even they have drawn the line here. Why? Because they're like, what? You attack Iran, we're gonna have a giant uncontrollable war in the Middle East. Everyone is going to hate Israel even more, which just seems nearly impossible now, but 10 times more, 20 times more. And then the Jordanian people, the Saudi people, etc., are going to start to get agitated at their puppet governments that continue to bow their heads to Israel and let them run amok. So that's gonna create a problem for those ruling royalties in the area. That's why they're like, no, don't start another war, for God's sake. We have oppressed our own people. We've kept them down. We arrest them if they criticize Israel, etc. But if you do this, all of our countries are gonna explode. So, and now Trump, I mean, he just doesn't care about anything about where's my bribe, where's the blackmail. the idea that he would care about the average American is laughable, laughable. And everyone around him is even worse. They're all completely and utterly bought. And of course, don't get me wrong, Trump's taking the most amount of money from the Israeli lobby, over $300 million from one family alone. So why are we bringing a second aircraft carrier into the region? For two reasons. One, we're now worried about Iran's capabilities because of the weapons they've bought that you just saw about. And the Iranians seem a lot more confident. And before, they said to us several times, we are not really going to counterattack. We're going to do a show attack. But even when they did that with Israel, a couple of the missiles got through and hit Tel Aviv. And that has panicked the Israelis. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't want war. They always want war, right? So, but what they're doing, that they asked America is bring a second aircraft carrier, because the job of the second aircraft carrier is to provide defense for Israel when Iran starts launching those weapons. Now, our soldiers don't have Iron Dome in the region. Israel does. So our soldiers are sitting ducks, and every news report is talking about, yes, the Americans will probably take heavy casualties if they attack Iran. Again, we have no interest in attacking Iran. As America, none, zero. If you hear someone telling you that it's in American interest to attack Iran, they work for Israel, and they're probably very literally paid by Israel to lie to you in media and in politics. And I challenge anyone to find an American interest in attacking Iran, especially when they have no nuclear program at all, okay? So, I mean, to the point where if we were out of this mess and Israel attacked Iran, I don't know who I'm rooting for. They're both dictatorial governments, but Iran is a lot more peaceful than Israel. Israel attacks almost all of their neighbors. They take land. Iran hasn't taken land in, well, maybe ever. What Israel has taken Golan Heights, 53% of Gaza. They started a plan to annex the West Bank right now. They're in Western Syria. They're occupying southern Lebanon. Even though the ceasefire says they should leave, they won't leave. So, Netanyahu gave a speech where he said about the Iranians, you should distrust, always verify. I mean, nothing applies to Israel better than that. They never abide by a ceasefire. They're constant liars. And then they come in here with crocodile tears about how they're the victims. And then they take $350 billion off of us, last count. And then they go, oh yeah, you owe us more, America. It's your fault, and start this war for us. And so now here we are, and we're gonna waste enormous American treasure, probably tons of American lives, to make the Israelis happy, to fight their war for them. This war is if it starts, which is very likely, is going to be an epic disaster. It is going to be 100% Israel's fault. Every American soldier lost will be on the hands of the Israelis, and I want you to remember that now, because after the war starts, the media will help both American politicians bought by Israel and the Israeli politicians pretend that Israel is the victims and we're the victims, and oh no, the terrible Iranians.
So let me understand something. Netanyahu bragging about Israel having the third most robust economy in the world, in the same breath as demanding another decade of American taxpayer money? You can't make this stuff up. It's like your rich uncle who just bought a yacht coming to you, the struggling middle-class nephew, for gas money. The audacity is truly astounding. For years, we've been told that their aid to Israel is essential, a lifeline, a necessity for their survival. Meanwhile, our own infrastructure crumbles, our national debt skyrockets, and our veterans struggle. But sure, let's keep funneling billions to a nation that openly boasts about its economic prowess, a nation that can clearly afford to pay for its own defense and development. Sure, why not? Guess what, folks? This isn't aid. It's an entitlement program for our foreign power, funded by hardworking Americans who see little to no benefit in return. It's time we put America first, not last, and stopped allowing foreign leaders to treat our treasury like their own personal ATM. If they're so robust, they can stand on their own 2 feet.
I can't believe they defended themselves. They should have surrendered and groveled at the feet of Netanyahu. And because they didn't, it is all their fault. And we need to go deeper into war and deeper into war and deeper into debt and lose even more American lives, all on behalf of Israel. Here's how much we should help Israel. Zero, nothing at all. Netanyahu in that same speech said, I want money for 10 more years from America. By the way, he also bragged about how Israel has the third most robust economy in the world. Of course they do,
Oh my
because
God.
we finance it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And then he also started, subtly threatening the U.S. by saying, we're getting closer and closer with India. We might not need the United States at all. To which I say,
Please.
please make that happen.
Yes.
Please make that happen. Yeah.
So there you have it, folks. This isn't just some abstract foreign policy debate. It's about the future of our nation and whether we're going to continue sacrificing American blood and treasure for interests that are decidedly not American. It's time to wake up and demand accountability from our leaders. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you think. So tell me, do you think or believe American interests are truly served by these endless interventions? Let's keep this conversation going. And as always, stay vigilant, patriots, stay vigilant.